Hello. Welcome to Chess Comedy Books 38, in which we take a light-hearted look at the oh-so-serious world of chess. Today, I'm going to be entirely selfish and look at the magazine which I used to edit. I may again, but for the moment, it is dormant. It's called the Chess Parrot. I set it up in 1978 as a reaction because the magazine I was working on had ceased to exist after, hence the Chess Parrot reference, Monty Python and so forth. That was a very long time ago, and I did the Basingstoke Chess magazine with Ken Harman, and a lot of journalism has come out of that. Anyway, this is the Chess Parrot. Obviously, desktop publishing didn't exist. This was done 30 years ago. I think that I'm proud of it. As you can see up here, there was the Oxfam logo, and I worked after that. I did this for 7 years for Oxfam as a book specialist. Here we have Lasker jumping on his cigar, and he came to Basingstoke twice, Emmanuel Lasker. My idea was to go to get hold of my friends and ask them to contribute games and comments and so forth. Unfortunately, most people either don't send you something because they don't want to, say they will send you something to shut you up, and then don't. So that's a polite way of saying that you almost lose out no matter what happens. I'm not going to go through every page of this, of course I'm not. Here's an example of what the print quality was like. I did it on an electric typewriter, which I bought courtesy of my father's company in London. Heaven knows why I thought it necessary to go all the way to Tottenham Court Road or even Charing Cross Road. I almost never know the difference. I think they're adjoining. To get a computer, to get an electric typewriter. But it did revolutionize my writing. Here's a book review I did of Kathy Forbes' Polgarth's book, which has since then been reproduced in a number of places, and I still think it's one of my better efforts. I did it in the style of Arthur Marshall. If you don't know who Arthur Marshall was, you can always Google him. He wasn't a chess person. Here again, the games. Game of Ken Harman's, my mentor over so many years, and Mike Basman. And Ken beat him. An article by the late Steve Boniface about blind players and players with handicap. I still miss Steve very much. I pay tribute fleetingly to him here. Jeux sans frontières, a sort of backwards reference to It's a Knockout. Games Without Walls. Reference to the board games exhibition at the British Museum, which I went to. It wasn't that thrilling, but it was nice that they put it on. It was well presented, even though it was quite modest. Game of Stuart Knox's. Stuart, another very old friend from Andover, still with us happily. And a quote from Ozzy Ardiles: "The satisfaction of chess is, like football, beautiful in intellectual beauty, but football always comes first." David Bronstein, here I go name dropping, said to me that he envied the football spectator, because in chess, people looking at the board won't always know what they're looking at, but in football, they will. Well, David, that's a bit of a generalization overview, but well, I'm not around anymore to press on your point. Here's a reference to my friend Otto Hardy, who again is no longer with us, bless his heart. So there we are. It's a tribute to Harry Gollenbeck on his 80th birthday, which I sent to him. By that time, I think he might have been in care. Not sure. And here we have the Franco-Sicilian wing gambit, a name which almost incorporates, almost Dickens's. Ebenezer Mears Grand Junction Temperance Association, Brick Lane branch. That's it, I couldn't find it. Games which came out of my paper column once a week. I wrote for the local Basingstoke Gazette. Here is an article written blindfold by Grandmaster Neil MacDonald. Neil has gone on to become a highly successful author, and I think that's possibly because he and junior trainer in the way that Chris Ward is. But I think in the case of Neil, he has given up so much in his life to chess. I hope he is not regretful. Here's an article by Gerard Welling from Holland, international master, about Larsen. He's a big fan of Bent Larsen. An article again by someone else who's passed away, Ron Harmon, Ken Harmon's brother. Ron was a London man. He lived elsewhere, but in the Channel Islands and also in Liverpool, but he was basically a Londoner. And his interest in chess was very strong, and his ability was very strong as well. Here's an article by someone who's left chess completely and left Basingstoke, Dick Heasman. If you're local to me, you may know that name still, and I hope that you do. And it's about catching heffalumps. And of course, that's mentioned in Simon Webb's book, Chess for Tigers. Well, that's issue 9 of the Parrot. Here is issue 11. It's only quite small. I got a nice cover done. Note the Danish flag on the back of this bloke's. I suppose it's a little short sleeve shirt. The Parrot up in the Parrot. Words. Title. This is quite a little collector's item for something that's quite small. I think it went rather well. Here is the results of the tournament of 21 years ago. St Anne's, the 12th St Anne's. Thanks to the investment in time and support of Joe Shevlin, who was the headmaster of the school in Pinkerton Road. I still walk past there occasionally on my way to the dentist's, and it's nice to look in and think of the good times we had and the hundreds of players who were given the opportunity. One of whom I see in the under-11s, Peter Roberson, who got 5 out of 6, and Peter went on to become an international master. Obviously, most people don't do that, but the point I'm making is that the opportunity was there to kindle his interest. Just as the ancient and primitive religions of the world show profound similarities in their fertility rites and sun and moon worship, many games appear to be common property to human beings everywhere. Chess was an imaginative reconstruction of a battlefield. Games hold a mirror to civilization. In Afghan game of Busarsi, groups of fierce horsemen contend for possession of a beheaded calf. This is a quote from Games of the World, edited by Frederick V. Grunfeld. Nothing to do with the Grunfeld defense. So there we are. There's that provides a little food for thought, in as much that you could almost say that chess was invented in several places at the same time, concurrently, like gunpowder. Who invented it? Well, it was the Chinese, and then it was also someone from Huddersfield. I'm pretty certain about the Huddersfield bit anyway. Here's some results of some congresses and a game played between Jim Sherwin, who must hate to death the thought that he played that King's Indian attack, or Fisher played the King's Indian attack against him in New York in 1957. Jim is still very much with us and lives in the West Country. I think he lives in Bristol, somewhere nearby. Anyway, he came to Basingstoke. That's the point I'm making. I didn't get a chance to. I did see him, but I didn't get a chance to play him or speak. Here's the results of the Girls' Championship, Open Championship. We've got 29 entries. How's that for a girls' tournament? Anyone listening to this organising a local girls' tournament? You try getting 29 players, girls, in one place. Mark Bohay and Joe French performed miracles. Results of the Portsmouth Congress. Won by Danny Gormally, with Philip Rossiter and Dave Ledger and a Mr. Schletter from Germany in fourth place. Nigel Povar and Andrew Ledger also played, but I don't think they competed. They did compete. They didn't complete the course. Here's a game won by Oliver Coddington against John Spielman, a Simmel game. Oliver was 13 then, so now he will be in his mid-30s. We were mates, so Oliver, if you're listening, I send very kind wishes to you. Here's a report of the Olympiad, the Biennial World Team Championship, by Adam Ralph. Adam was the captain of the England team for one tournament, and he wrote a very detailed and very pleasant report, which is kindly sent to me. There we are. Now, this has a white cover. Don't be fooled. It has some black content. And here's the other side, which is an attempt to be artistic by me. It looks a bit scatterbrained, but then again, maybe I'm scatterbrained. Anyway, there we are, the Danish Gambit on the cover. Andrew Webster, a very strong player from Surrey, spotted this and said to me, "Oh, I can't get the juniors to attack." So he took it on approval. I was running a bookstall there with Dave Prees, and Andrew scuttled off. And then he came back looking perhaps a little embarrassed and put it back on the bookstall as if to say, "Oh dear, that's not quite what I thought it should be." There we are. There's the Danish Gambit game. Did I say Evans Gambit? I meant Danish Gambit. It's a little article by Harry Gollenbeck about Sherlock Holmes. It is generally accepted fact that the Georgians, that means from the country of Georgia, just about the longest lived race in the world. You only have to walk down a street in Tbilisi to find a patriarch selling pickled cucumbers and sunflower seeds who will admit without much coaxing to have seen Napoleon when he was a boy. But what is perhaps not so widely known is that Professor Moriarty was by birth a Georgian who changed his name for professional reasons from Maury Fitzstes to the more respectable and Victorian Moriarty. Sherlock Holmes' great nemesis, of course. An article by Steve Jackson about Sir George Thomas. Steve did an astronomical amount of research about the great baronet, and then, sadly, but in a way I don't blame him, lost all heart. Here's another I didn't publish. Here's another Danish Gambit. There. And here is the games played by Julian Hodgson at a congress. These were not something I copied out of a database. Somebody must have sent me these. And a game by Martin Leantz, who I haven't seen for many moons, but worked for John Lewis's in the carpets department, and was a very gifted writer. I don't really, such was his modesty. I'm not sure he realized he was such a gifted writer, but he was. These are just some games. I'm flicking through these in algebraic figurine notation. There we are. I ran them down the middle of the page in menu style, and somebody, I won't say his name, Adam Ralph, said to me at the start, "Oh, it's quite original," and then he said, "Oh, it looks naff." Well, in a way, I wanted it to look naff. This is a fanzine, not a blinking, perhaps for chess book. Here is an article by somebody who stepped out from behind of chess and is mentioned in Wedgwood Ben's book, and was an anarchist poet, amongst other things, and he spoke in Speaker's Corner. He went to a dance. He was possibly one of the organisers, John Retty, and the band turned up, and I dare say, as they says in The Gondoliers by Gilbert and Sullivan, that's so like a band, meaning that they have to be paid in advance. And they duly were. And then another band turned up, and John, instead of buying them a drink and telling them to get on their horse, they struck up as well, and it's sort of lovely anarchist competition between the two battling ensembles. Here we have, I mentioned St. Anne's before, here we have the 2001 variation. We've got 209. Can you imagine that? They're all kids, all of whom have to be helped. And the under-6 challengers was won by Paul Williams, aged 4. In point of fact, it was Peter Arthur Williams. And I struggled hard, and if Richard James is listening to this, he will support me when I say, to this day, I don't know whether he was the youngest player ever to win a tournament. I know that one of the little Polgars probably beat him, but in England, I don't know. John Pike also did similarly, but John didn't go on to play much good chess. Peter Williams got a grade of 235. I've read somewhere that's quite a high grade. Who's this young lady? Hiding her hands. Her head in her hands, and her thoughts in the chest. It is Harriet Hunt. Hattie, it says. This is the last one I did. In fact, there's almost no chess here at all, apart from a few chess pieces. Still called The Parrot, and it's number 29. And it says, Remembering Otto, a tribute to Otto Hardy. An article by Bernard Cafferty about not resigning because of the very fast time limits. You can, just because you're material down, you can play on, and how he doesn't like that. An article about De Brugge by Otto Hardy. Mr. De Brugge took it upon himself to correspond with me a fair bit about my book, which was stillborn, about Jonathan Penrose. Well, here is some good graffiti. Look at that. Wow. And a little joke. Bored with chess boys, why not you meet Tatiana? She is young, 2450 ELO, 26, 24, 35. Hello, straight or kinky from the land of kopecks, gulags, and Luruk's bishop a knight in white satin, never reaching the end. We are all glass not here, comrade. Only grandmasterly moves allowed. Yes, well, don't call us, we won't call you. Here is a reference to my AOL column. Yahoo groups. The magazine review by me. Picture of David Bronstein, looking scholarly and not so tortured as latterly he did. And an article by the late Ron Harmon, who played David in 1962. I'd forgotten that. And an article about my very dear friend, Mr. David Everett, and a game by David Thompson, then from Andover, but I don't think he's there now. An article about pairs, when you have allies on one side and a team on the other, possibly put in different rooms or even in different towns. An article about hexagonal chess. I acquired a hexagonal chess set. Still got it, actually. I haven't played with it once. I keep on intending to. And I find some reason not to do it. Review of the magazine Correspondence Chess. I will not say what I wanted to say. And then the review of the ECF Diary. Well, every magazine has a review of a diary. So there you have it, the last Parrot. I have a few. If you're interested in fanzines like these, I can still supply a small number for a small number of pounds. So get in contact if there's anything you want. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Chess Comedy Books. And I keep on having to check the number because I keep on getting it wrong. I think 38. This has been Chess Comedy Books number 38. Goodbye.